Let's talk briefly about disclosing the use of artificial intelligence in your content. This is an important thing to do. There are obviously the moral and ethical aspects. You don't want to be claiming work that you did not do, right? For example, if you write a blog post using AI, you wrote the prompt, but you did not write the blog post if you just copy and paste it out of a tool like ChatGPT. So there's obviously the moral and ethical aspects, and that's important, particularly if you are a moral or ethical or values-based business, or you adhere to the values that you say you have. However, there is an important legal aspect that you need to consider when you're using AI and when you're disclosing the use of artificial intelligence in your content creation. And that is this. In several court cases, Naruto versus Slater comes to mind as the most important one, and the Thaler case separately. And by the way, disclosure, I am not a lawyer. I don't even play one with generative AI. The use of AI means that you cannot claim copyright on AI-generated content. Machines cannot hold copyright. That is, at least in the USA and many other places, that is currently the law. Machines and machine-created content cannot be copyrighted. So if you write a blog post using ChatGPT, even though you wrote the prompt and maybe an outline, if the final output is machine-made, it is ineligible for copyright. Conversely, if you have it write an outline, but you and your fingers do the typing and write the actual blog post, the final output is human-made and therefore can be copyrighted. So here's why disclosure is important. If you rigorously disclose what is and is not copyrightable on your site by saying this is AI or this is not AI, or this paragraph is AI and this paragraph is not, then it allows you to establish your copyright claim over your human-created content. So suppose you make a blog post, and there's an image on that blog post. You made it with Midjourney or Stable Diffusion XL. The image cannot be copyrighted, right? It is machine-made. You cannot copyright the image. So a competitor could copy that image and use it on their blog, and there's no legal penalty for doing so because that content is not copyrightable. But if you disclose the image is AI made and the context, the rest of the content is not, the rest of the content was made by humans, someone who lifted the entire blog post thinking it was all AI based could still be held liable for copyright infringement for taking the text because you wrote that as the human. That's why disclosure is important. If you disclose rigorously and carefully, you reinforce your claim of copyright on the stuff that can be copyrighted. And that's super important, particularly if you're doing a lot of important, valuable content creation, if you are maybe hiring freelancers to do that, which, by the way, is another key thing. Any vendor you work with, make sure they are disclosing, and it is in their contract. They have to disclose exactly where they use machines versus humans, because if a vendor, if a content agency gives you a blog post and they don't disclose that it's AI generated, if you then put that up on your blog thinking you can assert copyright over it and through a statistical test someone could prove that in fact it is machine generated, you can no longer enforce that copyright. So you should be disclosing the use of AI. Your partners and vendors should be disclosing the use of AI. And the reason for doing so is to reinforce your copyright claims over the things that are human-led and human-made. Thanks for tuning in. We'll talk to you next time.